Greetings and salutations, everybody. There, I said it again. You guys have been asking for it. You get greetings and salutations again instead of what's up, nerds. This is Jason BitBender Brink, and I am very happy to be here with you for a Galachain AMA. This is something that a lot of people have been asking for, and I am delighted to bring to you. But before I do that, please, I'm going to push my magical button here. Please make sure that you do the like, subscribe, and follow thing and share with your friends. And if you have any questions, we're not going to be taking them out of chat unless we get to the end of things and we still have extra time, at which point in time we will be pulling them out of our Discord at galagames.chat in the Gala Gold section. So if you're a member of Gala Gold, you'll be able to ask some of these questions. Other than that, if you were to look down in the comments, you will see a link that takes you to a form. I think it's links.gala.com/chain AMA, I believe, if I remember correctly, but it's in the comments. So go ahead and look at that, or in the description. So check that out. And I am here today with Jehoshaphat and Rasbandit, and we get another transition. Enjoy that. It's a cool logo. Thank you, James. And we are here to talk a little bit about Galachain. How you guys doing today, guys?
Great. Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, doing fantastic.
Delighted to have you here. It's a thank you for being here. We've got so much going on, and you guys sit right in the center of all of it. I feel, Paul, my head is really big. Why do I have to be the big one? I already have a giant head to begin with. Me on a 3-up is very, very big. Anyway, let's talk. Just lean forward. All of you guys, lean forward. I'm going to back up. We'll make it work. No, I'm kidding, man. You guys are fine. Let's before we get into this, let's introduce you guys to the community that probably, well, I mean, Jehoshaphat, you've been here since all of the time, forever, I think. Do you guys want to do a little bit of an intro for everybody?
Sure, yeah. Like you say, I kind of cut my teeth with Gala playing Townstar pretty hardcore. Built some tools, did some moderation, and then got involved with actually being an employee and getting to work on all the awesome stuff. So I worked a little bit on Vox actually early on, and then jumped into the chain team here and just been cranking on chain stuff since then. It's been great.
Well, we're super delighted to have you. And I remember back in the early days, you did a lot of really cool stuff for Townstar and for Vox. And, I appreciate you. Thank you for your contributions. How about you, Rasbandit?
Yeah, I've been with Gala for coming up on 2 years now. I went down the Bitcoin rabbit hole 3 years ago, read everything I could. Have a number of friends that work here at Gala and recruited me over and been working on the chain. I primarily work on the infrastructure side, so that means getting the contracts actually out to everybody, creating channels in the Kubernetes world, if anyone's familiar with that. So it's a Wild West over here.
It absolutely is. I'm just sending this out to the Gala Gold community so that they hop in here too. Now, the community has submitted quite a few questions, and leaning in on these questions, I have to ask the question that many people have upvoted. When can I run a validator?
It's a good question, yeah, and I'm not surprised to see that one in there. So we've been working on kind of incrementally releasing parts of Galachain, right? And I think from a validator standpoint, the first thing that we'll look to be able to have people run is probably bridge validation, actually. And we're actually pretty close to having that in a place, getting it all tested here. But that would be the first thing that we would probably see being runnable by our community members. Pretty excited about it.
Okay, now I'm gonna just throw something in here. The first person that we need running a validator is Forged in Crypto, because he sent me a message asking about running a validator just it was either this morning or yesterday. It all kind of blends together. But he just sent me a message asking about that. So we need to make sure that when we decide to do that, he's one of the first ones that we bring on and test, because A, he's an awesome dude, and B, he's one of those people that can actually actively improve what we're doing. As you guys know, he's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
So in terms of do we have a timeline for bridging validation?
In terms of it being totally released,
and hashtag everything here is subject to change. Okay, so we could have a date and then some other thing could happen because tech, and then that date could get pushed back. So we've seen this happen before.
I would love to say in the next couple of months. That feels reasonable. We do have a lot of things in flight, and we actually have pretty minimal resources available to help with bridge stuff. So, if those resources get taken up, it's harder to push other things forward. But it feels like it's in a good place, and we're really, I think, in a place where we're really just testing it before we can let community folks start hammering on it. So.
Awesome. I think that is a thing that everybody will appreciate, being able to be a big part of running. Now, there's a question that was asked earlier today in Discord, and I don't recall who asked it. You know what? Actually, I want to look. I want to look so that I get the name right, and give them credit. Hopefully, they're watching. So that was actually, it was asked by Family Man. That's who it was. Asked by Family Man, and then Titan followed up with some questions talking about how HLF works. Family Man basically said he keeps hearing that the part of the utility for Gala is gas, but Hyperledger Fabric doesn't use a gas system. And Hyperledger Fabric is a large part of what Galachain is based on. So where's the gas come in that scenario?
Yeah, it's a good question. I understand kind of why it seems confusing. And I guess, ultimately the answer is twofold. One is that, just because Hyperledger doesn't use gas in the same way Ethereum does, there's still compute work that has to be done to validate transactions, to, network, to propagate messages throughout the peers and all that kind of stuff that still requires resources. And gas is a way that we can, reward those who are providing those resources at the end of the day.
Do you mind if I give a tiny bit of additional context here regarding HLF?
Absolutely. For sure.
So a lot of people looking at HLF don't realize how prevalent it is in the space in terms of being used. The reason for that is a lot of deployments of HLF are deployments that are, by their very nature, centralized. So, for example, Walmart uses Hyperledger Fabric to handle a lot of its logistics and inventory tracking. That is not a commonly known thing because Walmart essentially has zero reason to put that on their website. Powered by Hyperledger Fabric, right? Who cares? You're going to Walmart to buy stuff, not care about their tech stack. But in many cases, if you're an organization like Walmart or I think, doesn't De Beers use HLF as well for a lot of for some of their diamond tracking stuff? There's no reason for Walmart to charge themselves gas, right? Just as simply doesn't make sense. But in this context, one of the major things that gas does within this ecosystem is it incentivizes the founders node operators to continue operating good nodes. Now, the founders nodes don't just, and this should be super clear to people by this point in time, the founders nodes in this case don't just run a chain. The founders nodes contribute a lot more to the ecosystem, and in a very large sense, are supporting decentralized computing and the decentralized internet via IPFS. I mean, we're a very significant percentage of the DHT tables for IPFS globally, and that's a huge thing. So making sure that you guys still have, have incentives to continue to run those good nodes is a very important thing, and that's where gas comes in. That said, what we want to make sure that we do is making sure that it's not a issue of you don't want to create a situation where you end up like Ethereum stupid gas, because we've all been through times of Ethereum stupid gas, and we simply do not want that, nor want the people who are using the chain to experience that either. So, that's a big thing. And I guess that answers the next question here. Will node owners still get transaction fee rewards? Yes, that is a large part of the plan. They will receive them, not in the same sense that you would with Ethereum, where it's like you're the one who has solved this block necessarily, but it will be more of a thing that's distributed across the entire ecosystem. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about there's a few questions we can sort of lump together. The expected or ideal process for public development on Galachain, and what are some of the things that are going into that?
Yeah, sure. And I can say that that's something we've sort of shifted focus to even more the back half of this year. Really, the first half we really focused on getting games onboarded to the chain. That's a lot of dog fooding and understanding what it takes to integrate applications.
Can you explain dog fooding to the community here? Because we know what dog fooding is,
sure,
but dog fooding is not a thing that the average user will understand.
Sure, yeah. The term is like eating your own dog food, right? So whatever you're making, you need to be using so you understand where all the pitfalls are, what's wrong, what's going right, and that just helps you develop a much better product. So onboarding a lot of our internal games and our external game partners onto the chain has really allowed us to find all those nooks and crannies, what's hard to do, what's easy to do, what do we need to do better, and what we can improve with performance, all those kinds of things. So it's really valuable, and that's really where our focus has been the first half of this year, and really tightening a lot of those bolts, and figuring out how then to take how we onboard our partners and think about how would we onboard external users, someone who just wants to put a new contract on the chain, or develop a game that talks to the chain, or an application that just reads chain data. All those kinds of things are ways that we see the community and the public at large interacting with the chain. So we've shifted focus to really look at how we do that, and so there are a lot of different activities around that. I can't get too far into the details, but that's definitely where we're headed next. And even like the bridge validation, right? That's one of those pieces, right? Like, how do we get people involved with the chain, and let them kind of see where things are at, see how they can contribute. But yeah, we're still working on a lot of the how do we present this to people? How do we let them get access and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I like the Galachain Academy conversation. That's something that's super important, and something that blends in perfectly with a lot of the work that we're doing. Starting to pick up with universities around the world. So expect to see more of that, and have a lot of deeper connections, and a lot more documentation.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if you guys have seen this. Smilin' Monster says that everyone except for you, Raz Bandit, looks sleepy. So we're gonna really have to work on keeping our eyes open.
Which is crazy, because I woke up for this. So
He's fresh. He's fresh.
There you go. Well, that's it. I've been here for 12 hours now, other than when I had to sit at the car dealership, which did not help me stay awake either.
Yeah, that's not doing any favors there.
Yeah, and to throw kind of maybe a more note on the public side is to think about is we're not even a year old for the public chain. So the thing we're working on right now is we can easily manage a dozen channels, a dozen games, or different things coming onto the platform, but to make something that we can scale up to hundreds of projects is an entirely different beast. So finding ways to make that completely scalable and make it so we don't have to manually intervene on every little thing is huge. That's where majority of our focus goes right now, is how do we simplify what we have to grow to that level.
Right. I think one of the things, and please guys, stop me if I'm incorrect in saying this, but I think that one of the things that people don't understand is how much work, like we did the first iteration of Galachain, and then a lot of that work, pretty much all of it, ended up being redone in the next version. Is that a fair statement?
That's
Yeah,
very accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's you know,
So-
we got something out that worked when we saw tremendous room for improvement, and we're taking advantage of it.
Yeah. And that's what it's supposed to be. I mean, that's this continual process of constant, never-ending improvement. I mean, we always have to push the barriers and push things in the right direction constantly. So I think that's a super important thing. Punjab asks, how far until in-game smart contracts? What do you guys think about that? Or do you just want to like run away at that question and we don't have to answer it and we'll move on to the next one?
So I'm not sure what that means. In-game smart contracts, exactly. If games having their own smart contracts, like Spider Tanks does, we definitely have done that.
I think what they're looking for here is the concept would be if you were to trade with another user in game, to have your own little trade or your own little something like that. So I mean, the point of comparison would be like if I wanted to do something on Ethereum myself. Now, obviously, there would have to be a game that would facilitate this. It's really hard to envision a game actually needing you to write a smart contract.
That's what I'm trying to picture. Yeah.
Right. I'm just trying like that. That would be a crazy deep game. But if there was a game that needed something like that, then somebody to be able to deploy their own smart contract for whatever purpose. I think that in most cases, though, whatever the thing is that you want to do in the game with a smart contract, that game will probably be facilitating. Whether it's a trade via a marketplace or something like that. Like,
yeah,
the number of users who could put together an actual smart contract is pretty low.
I've got a great game idea here, which is blockchain dev simulator. So it's just you sit in front of a computer in a virtual world, of course, and you write smart contracts. So
that sounds fantastic.
I'm patent that right now.
You should. How's it working out for you guys?
It's so good.
It's so good, right? I'm convinced we live in a simulation.
Yeah.
Just, and so I assume that my job is a simulation, and I'm just playing a game too. It's great. Okay, let's see here. Now, one of the bummer things about this question form is that every time somebody comes in and posts a question or upvotes something, it shifts the entire thing. So let me go ahead and somebody asked a question. Can we have a weekly, monthly chart about number of active users for every Gala game? Probably not right away. I think that it would be possible. And in fact, I've seen some really, really cool stuff. Oh my gosh, who's doing it? Was that you, Lefaust? I believe it was you making really, really cool stuff for Spider Tanks based off of chain data. So like as more things come to chain, you're going to see more of this stuff, and it doesn't have to be an us thing that does it. I mean, that's one of the beautiful things about decentralization is that other people can do stuff. So as, APIs come available and as, we get a more effective blockchain explorer, block explorer, you guys can make some of this stuff and you can make it do whatever it is that you want it to do, which I think is super important. Do you guys want to share some statistics about how the chain has been performing?
Yeah, I can kind of go into that. I'm the man who stares at charts all day. So let's see. We are handling about 2 million transactions on average, like in a 24-hour period. About 95% of our calls we handle in about 50 milliseconds. So,
Yeah.
to kind of...
Can I ask a question? Now, I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it for the people who don't. Is 2 million the limit?
No. So, looking at our charts, it's rather interesting. Like on an average slice of the chart, we're having about 25,000 requests per. Well, let's see. What is this at? Like I think at about every 20 minutes. But during distribution time, we spike up to about 80,000 in a 20-minute slice. And as far as our resource usage and like, it's almost counterintuitive, but the average time requests take drop down to be even more efficient during distribution time, just based off of like the nature of how those requests work. So the calls while the games are being played are a little more expensive. But no, from what we have found, it is extremely efficient. Where we have run into performance issues is if we've just written some of the contracts in a wrong way, which we've largely found ways to make those run significantly faster. So batching things helps a lot. Doing like a bulk mint is really, really successful. But I don't think we're anywhere close to hitting the limits of Hyperledger. We're just at the, making sure we're constantly improving things at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, that's one of those things that I think that we're constantly learning in terms of Hyperledger and just our contract setup and how to write better data objects and better contract code to be more performant. And that's something I'm looking forward to us rolling into that Academy literature as well, so that people can really understand how to get the most out of the chain.
Yeah, no, that's it. And Lifaust has a thing. He says, very important. That's not equivalent to transactions per second. Those transactions are storing a ton of data. One of the things that I think is funny when you look at a lot of these L2s. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to cast aspersions, because everyone's building amazing stuff. Everyone's building amazing stuff, and I don't ever want to say anything bad about anything that anyone is building, because they're building it the best way that they know how, and we appreciate that. But that said, a lot of times when you see these transactions per second or things where it's like we have this number of accounts, things like that, it's really, really easy to do a whole bunch of empty transactions per second just to see how many transactions you can throw at once. That's not the same as having transactions that are actually carrying a payload and data that is being written to chain and stuff like that. And so, those benchmarks are oftentimes not all the most accurate and can be very misleading, which is one of the reasons that I like talking to you guys about this stuff and having you guys share like the straight dope on what's going on, as opposed to, just having a chart of like, what's the biggest number that we can possibly stick out there, because it would it would definitely be a very different number. So I want to hit a question that somebody had here really quick, and let me get back. I have way too many windows open. There we go. Right window, moving that. Okay, Paul, let's go to the one-up for just a second here. I want to answer a question. Somebody asks the question, where did it go? Oh, it's gone. Oh, everything's shuffled. Wait, it was in Discord. That's where it was. There's my Discord. The Discord was, to clarify, will Gala be the gas token for film and music when it goes live on Galachain? Okay, you guys can all see that. This is what Eric had to say. How about an update? Galachain is live and being used in our ecosystem. And let's be clear about something. If the project is on Galachain, it will use Gala as gas. Okay? So I don't want to make this a thing that I say, but that is directly from Eric, and that is as clear as I can possibly make it. So I just wanted to answer the question that way, because I keep hearing this like, oh, will it be used as gas? Will it be used as gas? That is what Eric has said. He has publicly posted that on his Twitter, and it has been talked about in the Discord. So yes, it will be used as gas. Any other previous statements, unless he comes out and says something, which I honestly, at this point in time, it doesn't make sense to have another secondary gas token. Most transactions for the average user probably won't encounter a ton of gas fees. That's kind of the point of this, right? Is we want to have it very low. So I don't expect the gas percentage of this to be massive, because then it would be expensive and unusable. So, for example, in Gala Music, okay, the majority of those transactions for the average user within that asset channel should be mostly gas-free transactions. If you are initiating hundreds of transactions on your own, then you will start to encounter gas. But if you're just an average user and you want to buy a song or you want to send a song to your friend, that should be a gas-free event for you. The way that we've spec'd out the gas is essentially there for each asset channel, there will be a certain amount of certain number of transactions that can be made within that asset channel before gas starts to be charged. And what this means is that if you're just a normal user playing a game of spider tanks, you're fine. If you're trying to grief the chain by initiating thousands of bullshit transactions, then that becomes prohibitively expensive for you to do so, and you get to pay the founders nodes as punishment for your silliness. So that's essentially the way that that's supposed to go. So I just want to put that to bed once and for all. That is what Eric has said. That should answer that question. It will probably come back up again in like 8 minutes in the Discord chat, at which point in time we can do this again. But that's basically that. Now, the next question. Oh, people are very excited about this, and we had a lot of people ask these questions. What do you guys think about the process of bridging from the basically converting of the treasure chest into a Galachain mint allowance?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's something that I think we've been kind of working towards. And from a chain technology perspective, we're ready to handle. And I think that there's simply some stuff to do. I shouldn't say simply, but some work to do on the platform side. And then there's consideration too, where we have tokens in the treasure chest that don't have their own channel yet. So,
Right.
if
That's
we,
a big part of it.
yeah, so if we migrate those, they sort of don't have a home. So there's things like that I think are kind of holding that back from happening for everything.
Right.
I don't know for sure what the strategy will be in terms of what tokens begin to be able to be, minted directly to the chain or just shown as mint allowances.
Right.
But yeah.
I mean, that's I think one of the really big things about this, and we just had a conversation just yesterday actually, and one of the things that Eric was talking about is how important it is for people to be able to bridge stuff back out. And so if we were to take an item, pick some random item that you guys have in your treasure chest, unless the game is ready to handle that item on Galachain, bridging that over to Galachain is not helpful, because then the game can't read it anymore. So the game has to have it integrated. It's got to have its own asset channel, or it doesn't have to, but ideally it should have its own asset channel. So you don't end up having to bridge tokens from one asset channel to another. It's sort of like a stopgap sort of thing. And then the other thing is that it has to be able to be bridged back out to Ethereum, which means that it has to have a new contract set up externally on Ethereum, and there's a ton of footwork that goes into that. So, for example, a lot of our ERC 1155 fungible tokens are based on a single contract. The non-fungible tokens that you see for like spider tanks and things like that, they're based on an entirely new contract. But all of that stuff then has to be handled in terms of OpenSea and secondary markets. We have to tell people where they go. Contracts have to be, created, and it's a significant undertaking. It's not just like, flip a switch, like it's not a 80s computer hacker montage that takes 3 minutes to do, a bunch of stuff. It's a lot of work. And that's one thing I want people to understand, is that this is all a lot of work.
But we all do listen to 70s music while we do all of our work.
You have to. I was just talking to somebody about that today. You guys, quick question, and anyone who wants to feed in Discord can answer this as well. What is the number one band that you listen to in a garage or an auto store? I like how you both look up in the same direction. It's like you're both.
haven't been to an auto parts store. I want to say the first thing that pops in my head is ZZ Top, but I don't know.
Okay, ZZ Top. ZZ
I was
Top.
thinking like Led Zeppelin or something.
ZZ Top, Led Zeppelin. For me, it's Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Oh yeah.
Like I can't, or Journey or something like that. I just can't. I can't be in my garage or an auto parts store without listening to Creedence Clearwater Revival. Okay, let's see here. Oh my God, my Discord has gotten all wonky, so I changed it. Okay, Lee asks a question. Is there any way to roll back a vote by accident? This is dealing with another issue in Discord, so I'm just going to deal with this right now. No, there is no way to roll back a vote. Be careful when you vote because that is final. I have asked the Node team to make it so that the first option on any vote is abstain, as opposed to one of the options. But given that the vote is what it is right now, that is not a thing that can be changed. Once you voted, it's there, it's public, everyone can see it. So there is no way to roll that back. Okay, let's see here. Voodoo Doubloon, who the hell plays Spider Tanks anymore? A lot of people play Spider Tanks. Okay, let's see.
Play a ton of Spider Tanks.
Spider Tanks is so much fun. And Champions Arena, I've been having so much fun with Champions Arena. Let's see. Got some ecosystem questions. Do you mind if I hit some of these questions really quick, guys?
Go for it.
Is there any plan to create a Galachain secondary marketplace or to work with OpenSea to get them to support Galachain so it can get out of the whole expensive buy on ETH and bridge back and forth mess? Eventually, yes, that is definitely going to be a thing that happens eventually, whether it's something that we build or something that somebody else externally builds. Eventually, given the decentralized nature of what we're building, somebody's going to show up and build a secondary marketplace. It will probably be a thing that I think that we should take a stab at some point in time, or at least to facilitate or help with. But eventually somebody is going to, build something like that. Let's see here. Okay. Do you guys, what are some standout features or cool things that Galachain can do that other chains can't?
Well, we already talked a little bit about the performance aspect. I think that it's pretty exciting to see, how well it performs. We had the Champions Arena launch. I was watching our metrics pretty closely, and honestly, I kind of looked at it and I was like, wait, did we launch anything? Because this looks like there's, it just handles it right now. And so yeah, it's pretty exciting to see that. And I think, one of the other things that's interesting to me is that, Hyperledger supports a number of different code types for writing contract code, chain code we call it. And what we've been supporting so far is TypeScript, which is a very well-known, widely accepted language. So I'm excited that people who do come and start doing development on chain code don't have a huge hurdle with something like Solidity.
Oh God.
Solidity, yeah, so
I hate Solidity so much.
Yeah, I mean, tons of people are using TypeScript every day already, so it should be very easy for people to jump in and do a lot of things that it would be very difficult to do with Solidity also, but also just more easily with a language like TypeScript. So pretty stoked about that.
I'm super excited about it. I've got a note. Let's see here. 2 notes that people want me to handle really quick from Discord. By the way, guys, I'm gonna push the Discord button again. Oh, and it's just gonna show up above my head. There we go. Go to galagames.chat and join the Gala Gold channel, which you may have to actually go purchase Gala Gold in order to do so. But I've got a couple questions. Smiling Monster. I thought Rep was making the marketplace. The best way to think about what Rep is doing is Rep is making a winning marketplace interface. Okay, so whether or not there's smart contracts that facilitate the movement. So hypothetically speaking, okay, this is entirely hypothetical. Let's say that OpenSea decided to integrate Galachain. Now, an independent developer or OpenSea could come and they could build a widget okay, that could then be deployed and added to rep profiles that would allow a transaction to take place through rep, but connecting to that OpenSea portion of things. This is, again, entirely hypothetical, but that would be the way that that goes. Now, rep will, of course, have some of these things that it builds internally, but it's all based on this concept of the interface. And that's what rep provides, that interface to allow the mass onboarding of Web 2 users, which has been very, very successful so far. That a lot of the traffic that has been coming in via the Earl Sweatshirt community has been coming in through the rep app, through people participating in the treasure hunt and things like that. So we're super stoked about that. And Siberia asks about a one-click feature for the daily minting of 20%. Now, for starters, that vote has not closed, so that could still go the other direction, and that never has to end up being a thing. I'm sure that we will probably do something that will at least make that easy, a slider, a button, something like that, that makes it pretty clear. Okay. Okay, let's see here. SAS3BG just woke up, missed AMA. Now you're here, man. Still happening. CryptoView, Jehoshaphat, is that you? This is a very important question that must be answered.
It's me.
Oh, there it is.
It's the real Jehoshaphat.
The real Jehoshaphat. Okay. Two other questions that I want to hit before we head into some more deeper chain stuff. Can you reconsider the tokenomics? We had 30,000 Champions Arena downloads, Gala music on fire with Alchemist stuff, and it had no effect on price. Darn it. There seems to be a disbalance between rewards and burning. That's not how this works, guys. Okay. Unfortunately, in this space, there is very little correlation between actually doing something and token price. So there's no problem with the fundamental tokenomics, nor is it a thing that we can just change. We can't willy-nilly change these things. So try not to look at it that way. The best way to do something, like if that's a thing that you're super concerned about, bring more people into the ecosystem. Bring your friends in. Tell them about what's going on, because I don't think there's anyone in the space that's building the way that we are. Okay, I would say I can't think of anyone who is building the way that we are. There may be others that are building, but nobody's building at the scale, scope, and breadth that we're building at. So I think that the best way to do this is to bring your friends in and help them understand what's going on. Okay. LeFaust says, let me tell you, the Galachain can store skins, rarity, network results, deaths, kills, and a ton of other things per body, weapon, player, skin. And it does it so far for up to 4 matches on a single block. Are you going to do that with Ethereum? I don't think so. Boom. Absolutely not. That is well put.
Yeah. Nailed it.
Does the Earl Sweatshirt event give you access to rep through an NFT? No. But what the Earl Sweatshirt event does is it allows you to use the Rep AR app to contribute and participate in the treasure hunt, which is super cool. And I highly recommend you guys check that out. It's a lot of fun, and it's cool to see the deeper augmented reality component of this. If you happen to be in Los Angeles, I would love to see some people go to the actual locations where those chests are and actually take a photo with them. Because you can walk out to the Santa Monica Pier and you can take a photo. I know this because we had an entire team going all over Los Angeles, setting up those chests and making sure that they were in the precise, awesome geolocation point that they could have cool photos taken. So get out there and do that.
Excited about rep, man. It's super cool.
Dude, it's so cool. I'm so excited. And people are like, oh my God, when rep nodes. That's a very redonkulously soon thing, guys. So if you're in Gala Gold or you're a founders node operator, that's going to be a thing that you're going to hear about very, very soon. Very, very like it could be tonight, could be tomorrow, could be the next day, this week, almost for sure. CryptoView wants me to go to Miami. Dude, it's been a while and my wife is not happy with how much I've been traveling right now. And so if you guys have kids, you know what a struggle that is. Okay, let's see here. Let's hit with regards to roadmap priority perspective, where does a more fully robust Galachain Explorer land? For example, the ability to view token mints, distributions, balances, etc.
Yeah, and we touched on this a little bit earlier, right? So the current Block Explorer is pretty minimally featured, right? And you can definitely look at blocks and dig into that data pretty well. And there's an API that's accessible that is behind that, and that's another way to pull blocks, right? So that API is probably our first priority, because that's really what is underneath the Block Explorer anyways. We really want to make that more robust and more feature filled. So I would say that's probably going to come before Blockchain Explorer. But, Jason, you touched on this a little bit earlier. Like, once that data is available, right, through that API, anybody could
Someone's
write
going to
a
build
Block Explorer, right? I mean, it's just a UI layer that
Yep.
makes those blocks look a little nicer. So,
and I think
out
that's
there, right?
going to be super cool. I can't wait
Yeah.
to. I mean, and again, LaFaust, can you post some of the screenshots in Gala Gold for what you've been doing? And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so I can show people, because it's really, really, really freaking cool stuff. Like what he's been doing is like chef's kiss for spider tanks. It's beautiful stuff. Have you guys seen that?
I think
You
so.
seen that,
Is that on
Jehoshaphat?
the? I don't see it right now. But
No, it's not. It's not up on the
oh,
screen yet. I'm waiting
yeah,
for him
I
to
think
post
I have.
it.
Is
No.
that in the math stuff?
It's some of his
Okay.
some of that stuff. It's pretty cool. So people are ask questions. So no one cares about our Gala stuck on Jiri because of no bridge to Ethereum. Dude, bridge is coming. Okay, I believe the bridge itself that's a platform question, but I believe that bridge is in testing right now. So it's not that nobody cares, it's that this question's been answered a bunch of times. So like it's coming very soon. Okay, Ed 777, it's not getting ignored. Okay. Let me see here. Let me go ahead. A lot of games seem to be waiting for Galachain integration. Can you elaborate on this? Go for it.
Yeah, I mean that has been the case, probably in the recent past, maybe like as of a couple months ago. But we have actually really gotten down to automating a lot of that process, and so we're pretty much caught up on getting at least like a test net environment set up for games that are ready for it. And so I think we're pretty much on schedule for all that stuff right now, and we are in a point now where we can kind of take those requests and pretty quickly turn around at least a staging or a test net environment for those games.
Yeah, it's
It
super
still
cool
takes time for them to write code to integrate
for
and
them
things
to
like
do
that.
their side
Sure.
of things. But and that's the other important thing that I think people need to understand is that we're not the developers for most of the games that are in the process of coming to Galachain. We may be helping them, we may be advising them, we may have shared Slacks with them, we may, do everything that we can to answer their questions and things like that. But ultimately, we can't like puppeteer them and write the code for them. They have to do it. They have to learn how to do this, and we can provide them all the resources necessary to do that. But there is a latency between we have created an asset channel or a testnet environment and them being done with their side of the integration. So that's a pretty important thing. Okay, let's see here. I have my list of this, and I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say here. But what are a few pros and cons in comparison with other chains? And then, this is a bracket like Ronin Network. I think most of the chains out there, okay, I think this is a super important thing to talk about. There are blockchains, okay, that are essentially, if we look at this sort of from a hereditary standpoint, there are blockchains that are very blocky blockchains like Bitcoin, okay, and then there's a bunch of stuff that is I won't go so far as to say improvements on Bitcoin, but different ways to do essentially the same sort of thing that Bitcoin does, okay, which is you have a chain that has a bunch of blocks and shit goes in there, and there's proof of work. component, and then out the other side you pop transactions. And then there is EVM chains. Okay, EVM chains are Ethereum virtual machine based chains. Most of the blockchains that people are talking about these days are essentially L2s that are based on Ethereum. Okay, so Ronin, BNB chain, a lot of these are L2s that are based on Ethereum. So essentially they're copies, if you will, of Ethereum, and have, in some cases, great improvements over Ethereum in terms of transactions and all of this, but still fundamentally based on Ethereum itself. So they use Ethereum essentially as a timing chain, bundle transactions, plop those transactions as a single transaction into Ethereum, and then it's a roll up essentially. So you have a whole bunch of crap that happens on one chain turned into one single Ethereum transaction, and then that Ethereum transaction is a link that says, go here to look at all the crap that happened. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, that sounds right to me. Yeah.
So essentially, all of those chains have all of the same issues that Ethereum has. Now, Ethereum is amazing for doing some stuff. It's not so great for doing other stuff. So I think that when we look at sort of the pros of what Galachain offers, it handles a lot more, and it is a lot easier to work with than EVM. All of the EVM stuff that you run into out there is based on Solidity, which is unfriendly. Let's say that. Gross is a good word. We don't use that enough. It is a gross language. And so, it's just very difficult to integrate. And if you have a game developer that's coming from the Web 2 side of game development and you want them to begin building, flinging Solidity at them is not going to be helpful, because they're going to look at it and then throw up in their mouth a little bit and then say that they're not interested and that NFTs are terrible. So that's that. What would you guys say some of the pros and cons are?
Well, I mean, I think you hit the biggest one on the head there, and I think what I would add too is with Ethereum and any of these chains, you're at the mercy of the entire network, right? In terms of gas is a big one, right? If there's some big drop happening and gas goes crazy, how's your game going to work? Things like that, right? So that's one thing, with the way our network works with channels too, the traffic is isolated from each other. So if there is like a really high traffic event on spider tanks, for example, and it's for whatever reason is really hammering the resources there, that won't affect Champions Arena. That won't affect, Last Expedition, anything else that's running, right? Those are isolated environments. So I think that's a big piece too. And I think you talked about it a little bit too, like simplicity of use, right? Like Solidity, it has the juices, and it certainly like has paid its dues in terms of what it's done on Ethereum. Sure. But you're right, it's not user friendly. It's challenging to learn, and it's even more challenging for somebody who's not really familiar with blockchain stuff. And we do want Galachain to be very accessible to people who don't necessarily know exactly how all the low level details of blockchain work. Can help them understand the basics and then just get them coding right away.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and 1 second. Let me get one more of these things open and dragged over.
Yeah, I guess to throw on that too, real quick. I don't think we've had a single discussion about layer 2s in the Galachain. Like, it's just not something that we even feel like we have to talk about or move towards.
Yeah, it's not.
I mean, we can scale both, for technical terms, horizontally, meaning we can just throw more resources at something and increase our throughput, where, something like Ethereum, you're kind of hard locked at the way the whole system works. So, Jeff was saying, is we can easily just pump more transactions through a variety of different means, rather than kind of being like stuck on Ethereum or being like, well, we maxed this out. Let's build a whole new network on top of this network to see if we can do more networking.
Network on yo dog. I heard you like network, so I put a network in your network so you can network while you network. That
Yeah, pretty much.
That works all the way down.
it's networks all the way down. Okay, I'm going to let's go to a one-up really quick, Paul. I'm going to show some really cool stuff. So this is some really cool stuff that LeFaust just posted in the Gala Gold channel. This is what he's creating with data that he has pulled from Galachain. The total victories by weapon, is this nice little, filters that he's created, victories over maps and game modes, okay? Victories by weekly schedule. And this is all stuff that is coming through on the data that you're seeing in the Galachain Explorer. And actually, let me go ahead and show that too. I'll show that in just a second after we go through these.
That is awesome.
Total victories by weapon, total victories by body. Obviously, this is just for some limited thing for him, his own thing. Alpha Executioner. Where does he have the most victories? Let's see. It's super cool. Like, this is really freaking cool stuff to look at, guys. And so, matches last 30 days, what is the wins looked like? I just absolutely love this. So this is what's coming from here. And this is what the Block Explorer looks like. So you can go in here and you can look at any of this stuff that's happening right now and, get into it, what bodies are being used, who's using them, what the data looks like, so this is where this is all coming from. And I think it's super cool to get into. And if you can look at this, like this is this block. Look at all this data. Look at this data, guys. This is nuts. Okay. And I think that, you would be hard pressed to fit as much information into a single block pretty much anywhere else. So I think that's cool. Okay, I'm going to go back to that, and we can go back to the 3-up. Okay, SNEL Drickson, Snell Drickson. Anyway, I don't know. Why couldn't Gala make a simple explorer to read? That's a thing that we definitely would like to see. So it's definitely room for improvement there.
We have kind of things that we prioritized above that, frankly. You know what I mean? We got something out there that you could use, but yeah, it's not super fully featured.
And as you can see, LeFaust is pulling data that's doing amazing stuff. Like, he's pulling that data. Now, we could probably make it easier to pull that data, but he is pulling that data. Luke is watching me in 1080p now. See all these beautiful features? My forehead looks like Mars. I'm sorry. Have any game developers shown interest in building on Galachain? Yes, definitely. Let's see. We need big giveaways. Okay, not really. Did we come up with a new name for Galachain? No, the name is Galachain. That is what it's going to be.
So I dare say our team's internal joke name.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
All right.
Don't do it. Don't do
Jeff
it.
Chain.
Oh, you did it. You did it.
Jehoshaphat Chain.
Jehoshaphat Chain. That sounds biblical. That sounds like somebody is going to get flogged with a Jehoshaphat chain.
That's rough. That's rough.
Maybe.
That's what happens
Phrasing.
when we don't meet our
Apparently we're not
deadlines.
doing phrasing. Yeah. Let's see. Will we see Gala on Coinbase? I believe that's Coinbase. That's entirely up to Coinbase, guys. We're here. We're building. We're making awesome stuff. They decided not to support the V2 transition. If they decide to support it in the future, I'm sure everybody will know. On the Paul Barron network, there was some speculation about the possibility of Gala using the XRPL in some capacity. I saw that video. I had no idea where that came from. That's not a thing we're doing. How far is Galachain going to go? All the way. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. I think we're pretty close to running out of time here. But I hate Solidity so much. Real blockchain devs, question mark, exclamation point. Dude.
I've had to use it, believe me.
Yeah, no, every one of us has had to use
what
it,
it
but
is.
it's just not, it's not ideal. And it's especially not ideal if you're not onboarding people who are used to that environment. Now,
Exactly.
if you want to build inside EVM, then yes, by all means, focus on using Solidity. However, I think the problem that you're going to run into very quickly is the fact that doing so is you get limited in your ability to scale very quickly, because not everybody wants to do that. And so that's that. Okay, let's see. When direct minting from Treasure Chest to Galachain, that should be a pretty soon thing. Win Gallium on Galachain. So I'm sorry I butchered your name, man. I didn't mean to. I don't know your name. It's not a name that I know. Sneldrickson. Sneldrickson? I don't know. I don't know how to say that. Do you guys have any guesses that are different than that? By all means.
No idea.
Are rep nodes, game nodes, etc. also leveraging Galachain tech? Yes, absolutely. When can I use Galachain with any centralized exchange? Any centralized exchange on priority list? We've been talking to a few different ones about this. I don't know which one's eventually going to integrate first, but it's going to be a thing. Yeah, I think we're going to see a Gala wallet soon. I would like that. There's a product addressing that exact issue with Solidity not being user-friendly. I feel like, who is this? Oh yeah, got a few people. Attendee 75 definitely has an axe to grind in the forum here. I love reading these things. And it's funny too, because you start to see like the patterns of conversation, and then you start to go and look at who the people are. There we go. Okay. Anyway, guys, we'll do this again soon in the near future. But I wanted to thank you guys for coming and hanging out and chatting with the community. And what do you guys feel about doing this on a little bit of a more regular cadence? At least quarterly, I think we should do. You know, maybe monthly. But let's revisit this in a few weeks and see what kind of updates that we have to share, because I know people are going to have more questions, and there's going to be more work and more growth and development. I think that updates are starting to come pretty quickly here. So I think that maybe it might be a time to pick this up. What do you guys think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
This has been
Awesome.
great.
Well, guys, then we'll go for now. And thank you very much for coming and hanging out and seeing all of us. And I'll see you guys in Gala Gold. So
Thanks, everybody.
peace out.